Well, hello again. Back in the laser, back in Sydney. Last day of holidays today, and it's a beautiful blue sky. So I'm heading down to the buses, and I'm going to do a few more jobs on 1101, the Atlantean, the double-decker. I think because when I was up home I did those seat backs and the driver's seat, I might continue, because I can't put the seat backs in yet. I want to pressure wash the floor and the walls before I do that. So I thought today, I've only got a couple of hours of daylight left, I thought I would tidy up the driver's cab. It's where you spend a lot of time. Like, I'm going to have to move the bus now, so it's I don't want it to be cobwebby and dusty and filthy and just feel yucky. So I'll give it a good clean, maybe a lick of paint where it needs. I'm going to try not to paint. I want to try and keep it as original as possible, because it is original. The floor's a bit yuck. It might need repainting with that bitumen idea that the museum gave me. So anyway, I'll head down there now, I'll see what needs doing, and I'll get started on it. And that's what's happening on this episode of Steve Stuff. Many years of Lightning Ridge dust coming out of there, as you can see. It's almost like it needs a... Well, it was actually suggested to me that I do a pressure wash, but I'm not keen on getting water near all that electrical in there. Try and dislodge as much of this dust as I can and vacuum it up. So you can really see the difference that's making. That's just with a wire drill and a vacuum. So I'll do a few more passes, and I might take these two strips out, and I'm going to paint this in that bitumen-y glass beads setup that I showed you in a previous video. I've changed my mind. After going over that a few times with the wire wheel and then some sugar soap to get the dirt out, I think I'm going to leave it. See, this restoration is different to my other Atlantean. The other Atlantean was so incredibly altered from original that I wanted to bring it back to original. So I had to do a lot of painting, all that sort of stuff. This is original, as it was when it was withdrawn and then driven straight up to Lightning Ridge where the fella started to live in it. So I think it's better to save what's there. As they say in the car world, in the car restoration world, it's only original once. So I'm going to give that a drink with some rubber conditioner and just keep going washing these walls. I will, however, repaint that seat frame, because it'll look odd. It's the wrong colour anyway. It'll look odd when I put the brand new seat in that I refurbed up in Taree. So it's looking a lot better, and I thought I'd do the driver's cab first, because that's where I'm going to be spending time moving the bus around and whatnot, and I want it to be a nice place to be. This is a little tea key. Well, it's not a little one, it's quite a big one. That we found in the driver's cab on the wall side of the driver's seat. So on the driver's seat's right-hand side, where no one knew it was there except the driver himself. It wasn't a Sydney PTC thing, so it must have been an Egan's thing. And I've just hit it with the wire wheel. I'm going to get some rust inhibitor on there and then maybe spray it up in some hammer tone paint or something. Just, you know, it's original to Egan, so we'll keep it in there. I've just masked that up. I'm going to paint that while I've got time and some daylight here. I'm going to paint that seat frame. That's looking all pretty good. There's the lunchbox I did up home. I don't know what's going on with the paint. It's not right, but it is right. I am going to touch up a few things, and I don't know what to do with that neck brake base. I'm fairly certain that should be brown, because it was in my other Atlantean, but that one's a blue, so maybe it's been pinched out of a leopard. Don't know. And I just hit all that paint there. You can see all the spider shit and everything's gone. It's looking a whole lot better. I just hit it with some of that, where is it? That detailing stuff I use on my cars if I'm going into a car show or something. You just spray it on and wipe it off, and it brings it looking up okay. There are some colour issues. This brown here is different to that brown there, but then the colour match we did in Taree, although I still think it's not quite perfect, it's good enough. And doesn't that seat look great? So the driver's cab, a much nicer place to be now. Going to leave that floor like it is and just keep every now and then giving it a drink with some vinyl reviver. I'm going to do what I like to do this time of day, go home now and have a couple of beers. I will come back tomorrow. I've got a full day off tomorrow and keep going with more. Something I think lets the dash down is these lights. See that blinker light there? It's all kind of milky, faded. These ones on the dash, there's a couple there that I painted with some clear and some lens paint that you get at the auto parts store. They came up okay, but I might have some better ones. And further down, see, that's terrible. There's another one I painted. There's one missing, and yeah, they just let the whole dash down. So I've got a solution for that. It's right in there. Ones I've collected over the years while I was finding bits and pieces for the other Decker. So I'll put them in. I'll try and get the best batch into this dash, make it look as good as we can. Now, don't you think that is a much more appealing place to be? Just with a little bit of cleaning up, refurbing the seat, tidy up over here, and some new globe lenses on the dash, even a new washer button there. And that hole, story on that is there was never anything in there when these buses were in service. I'm going to put something in there because that hole hurts my head. Look at those indicators, brand new. I had in my little bucket of lollies. I even threw a new starter button and a stop button that I had in my bag of tricks as well. Oh, my detritus there. I'll finish that in a moment. Up here, I've had a bit of a go at cleaning that green crap off there. That's come off pretty easy, so if I go all the way around and do the same, this cab's going to be really, really lovely. The steering wheel, well, it's not the original Sydney Press Metal Corporation steering wheel or the wheels they came with. They came with a four-spoker that was a little bit bigger than this. I have that wheel, but this is the original. Eggins has loved to put pearl-handled steering wheels on their buses, and I know the two UK Atlanteans, Big Bob and L554, did have pearl handled steering wheels, and I'm fairly certain 1101, this bus, was one of the first to replace either Big Bob or L554, and they may have swapped the wheels out because this is clearly a UK looking steering wheel. I don't like pearl. I've got a photograph of this bus in service and you can see the pearl handle wheel in the photo. I'll show you that. This is that wheel. I just sanded it back, I recoated it, and then I've stitched on a leather steering cover, gave it a bit of a polish to make it pop. This is the cap that was on it, but I have a blue, a black, and a cream that I'll try on those, and I might get you guys' opinion on what you prefer. But there it is. Driver's cab, much nicer place to live, and I can't wait to spend some time in there. Onto the entrance area. You see that ceiling there has been discoloured. It gradually gets better over towards that way. Should be the same colour as that dark blue, which is the same as that dark blue. So all up here, up in here, I've got discoloration. There, the ceiling. I've taken a panel off because there's a lot of water coming in this area as well. And can I show you up there? I'll just have to go around the other way. Show you up there, you can see there's some rust. There's a repair being done. And that's been caused by a lot of water sitting around. I've got to try and find out where that water's coming from. I've got a sneaking feeling there's a little bit of damage in the very top near side corner of the roof. That's where it could be coming down. Also, the window rubbers in these are an extremely poor design. They don't let water escape very well. It tends to pool up. So, trying to work out a way to get that green, mossy, kind of mildewy stuff off there without damaging the paint. I took this panel off. Oh, by the way, while I'm up in this area, there's that bit of rubber there that I'll replace. A lot of rivets again. My favourite things. I took that panel off and gave it a go. I tried a couple of cleaning ideas. Seems to be the best way is a little bit of vinegar and a very mild scouring pad. So I'm going to hit everything up here with that. But first, I'm going to spray some rust converter into that little area up there and then coat it in a rust inhibitor. Before I go any further, I want to test out this floor system that I did on that little bit of plastic up home last week. I was trying to work out what I could test it on that I can't ruin, and then I remembered the batteries are under the floor, under one of the seats, and the battery cover is part of the floor. So I'm going to hit this with the wire wheel, give it a good clean, and then paint it, sand it, and see how it turns out. Gotta love my state-of-the-art workshop. Probably would have been easy to get the pressure washer out, but I'm going to do that tomorrow. And there's such a faff to set up with hoses and extension cords and stuff. That lightning ridge dust. Still coming off. I can't believe this. That's the third wipe and it's still coming out of this. So I'm not going to get the pressure washer out because I'm too lazy, but I am going to go and take this and hit it with a hose as high pressure as I can, and then leave it out in the sun to dry and go and read the instructions on how to put this bitumen paint on. This dried very quickly, so I'm going to give this a go. I'm really keen to see how this works, if it does work. It's kind of almost brown, so this may not be the right product, but it's just the sample pot that I bought to see how it turned out. It did dry fairly dark, so let's just put a little bit on the roller here using what's on the lid. I've got gloves on obviously because I reckon it's probably a pain to get this out of your skin if you did get it in there. So I don't even know how thickly to put it on, so I'm just going to keep dipping in here. I guess you put it on pretty thick, let it dry overnight. Someone also told me the trouble with using bitumen can be that on a hot sunny day, for example, which we don't get many of them here in Australia, but on a hot sunny day, it could get a little bit tacky underfoot as the bitumen warms up in the heat kind of thing. And yeah, these buses, they where they are parked, it does get very hot through the day in summer. So that'd be something to consider, but there's only one way to find out, and that's to test it and see how it looks. It is going on brown though, and it's not really filling any of the cracks like I thought it might. It seems to be going over what was there already. There hasn't been any kind of weird reaction. So that's a good thing, I guess. And that's about as thick as I'm going to get it. So I don't know how long this stuff needs to go off. I'll have a look on the jar, on the tin thing. I'll go and sit it out in the sun. Don't know whether that's a good idea or not either. We'll see how it goes. But before I do that, there's one thing I have to do. Sprinkle these on. I guess it's just got to look random, and whatever sticks in there will stick in there, and the rest they tell me just sweeps off. Right. Might have gone a bit overboard there. Now, in a classic example of impatience, while I'm waiting for that battery box lid to dry, I've started to undo this handrail because it needs to be treated or painted, and I'm going to do the same as I did in the Merlin and I'll show you what that is. This is the handrail at the front door. Goes up and over like that, up to the driver's door. I've done this in a rubberized paint. Can you see that? It's got a little bit of a give to it. It feels good in the hand, and it's quite grippy. It's something you wouldn't expect. I don't know how I discovered it. I think I was just experimenting, trying to get the original look and feel. So I'll show you, once I sand this back, I'll show you how I did the Merlin. Back in my state-of-the-art workshop, I went to IKEA again, and this time I ordered their pallet krug, they call this one. Very handy, just snaps together. I've got the paint stripper on the grinder, and we're going to prep this grab bar. Battery just ran out. I swear I just took that one off the charger. Well, you get the idea. I've stripped it. There's a little bit of surface rust in some areas. So what I'll do is I'll just treat that with some rust converter. Make sure I'm doing everything properly as per the instructions of the paint. And then I'll show you the process that I used on the Merlin. Saw how good that looked. And we'll get stuck into that in a minute. So what I really love about this state-of-the-art IKEA work area that I bought, called what they call the pallet klug, is it has a very innovative way that I can adapt it to any situation that I need when I'm working. It's modular, it's lightweight, and it's effective. I love it. Okay, let me show you what I'm going to do. This is my little secret. This is called Plasti-Dip. It's a paint, it's a rubberized paint. A lot of people use it to spray paint their wheels, and then you can peel it off if you don't like it. This is what I used on the Merlin's handrails. This is what I'm going to use on this. I've done a couple of practice areas. I got a little bit of fish eyeing, so I wiped it down with wax and grease remover, and I'm going to try again. I think the trick is to go on light coat first. So I'll see how we go this time. And what it does is it just gives a little bit of hand feel when you grab it. Doesn't feel like paint, it's a little bit softer, a bit more textured. And you can't see what I'm doing here. So I'll go around to that side. Bring my IKEA work stool with me. I think from memory, and I did the Merlin one probably last Christmas, no, the Christmas before. I've just got to go over very light coat and multiple coats and not get overspray on the Merlin while we do it. That's coming out better now. It looks a little bit different to paint. It dries in a kind of a matte rubbery finish. That's doing better. Much better. So this is the handrail in the front entrance. The Atlanteans were designed to be a one-person operation. That's why they didn't last in operation very long, is because the unions went absolutely bonkers, and there were strikes and whatnot. They were all withdrawn very, very early in their lives, and went on to become school buses in the country very successfully, like that one. I'm going to stop taping, let that dry a little bit, and I'll come back and show you the finished product. I've put a microphone on there because the audio on that last clip was terrible, and I've had complaints about my bad audio sometimes. So hopefully now you can hear me. I'm just going to go over with another light coat of this, and you can see it's starting to look good. And it does come up with I'll come in closer and show you. I've got to get a heap of coats on. So coat it, let it dry, coat it. Don't forget underneath. And I really think it looks great. I just experimented with it one day, and I used it on a steering wheel actually, and it came up really well. The paint didn't come off in your hand when you were steering, and I just locked that away in the old brain thinking I could use that on something else, and then the handrails on the Merlin came up and I thought, let's do it, and it turned out really well. So I'll let that dry again, come back and probably use up this whole tin. and hopefully you heard me a bit better that time. Touch dry now. I'm probably going to do a few more coats tomorrow, but it's hard to explain, but it has a grippy feel. And the finish, it's slightly dull, you can see, and that looks really, really good. This is the side that is facing the public, the passenger. This is the back that you won't see, but I hope you can really get an idea of what that might feel like. It's very tactile, and yeah, missed a bit there. A couple more goes and I think we'll be good. I won't put it back in until I work out what I'm going to do with the floor in that front entrance. A test fit. How good does that look? Brand bloody new. That's how good it looks. There we go. This entranceway, it's very important. If this bus is being used in a museum event or a static display somewhere, the entrance is what has to grab you. This area is starting to look really good. I've still got some things to do in there. I've still got something to do there. And that is going to look absolutely fantastic. So here's the finished product on that bit of flooring. I'm not sure how I feel about this. It certainly feels good underfoot. It's nice and grippy. I think I've kind of see areas I've missed with the glass beads, but it does have a good texture to it. I think I might try, there's 2 battery covers. I'll try another one tomorrow because it's starting to get a little bit late in the day to be messing around with paint. So I'll put that back inside. It could work on the entire bus, or it could look absolutely shithouse. That's why I'm trying it in little areas like this that are hidden before I commit to it. Actually, just as a comparison, there it is, just sitting on the step there, before and after, showing you what it looks like there now and after the treatment. And actually, aside from the really shiny stuff, which possibly might wear off over time, that looks great. I'm wondering if I could do it without the glass beads. Might try a bit of that tomorrow. That's where it lives. That's its brother. Goes under that seat there, but it looks good. I'm torn. Next day, another sunshiny day, so driving the Commodore today. I'll show you around that one of these days. Anyway, I'm going to pressure wash the second of the battery box covers and get it prepped for, well, I'm going to keep experimenting with that floor. I'm kind of happy with the way one of them's turned out, but I've had an idea of maybe mixing some of the bitumen paint, or whatever you call it, sealer, actually putting some of the glass beads in it and then rolling it on and see how that turns out. So I might try that on this, but before I do that, I'm going to hit it with this, and then I've got a surprise for you. Oh, fire truck. Some real stubborn stuff just there. I think for the purpose of what I'm doing, just experimenting, that might do. I'll put that out in the sun to dry, and then I'll show you your surprise. Fire truck, there's your surprise. A whole bunch of seat bottoms and a couple of seat backs out of the lower deck. Everyone loves a good pressure wash video, so that's what I'm about to do on these. This one I'm excited about because it's actually got DD101 written on the base, the underside of it, like the others I showed you in a past video. But that means double decker 101, which is my bus right there. So I want to try and get this one as clean as I can and not actually upholster it. So I'll bring you in a bit closer as we do this one. See all those little dots there? If you're wondering what they are, that's spider poop. There's been a lot of spiders in here eating very well. That's actually the back seat, the seat back of the lower back seat. And there's paint or there's rust marks. There's a few things on there that aren't coming off with water. I'll experiment later on and try and get that looking as good as I can, because that's the original colour, that's the original upholstery, and I really want to keep it. Okay, they've come up in varying levels of condition, if you like. At least I got most of the spider crap and the dirt and stains, well, off some of them. This is the big back long one. See, there's some grubby marks on there. This bus was used as accommodation and storage for a long time, so that one's got a lot of stains on it, but I don't know if they'll come out. I'll try everything before I recover, because these sorts of cushions with the corners and the piping, there's no hiding from a bad job, and I'm not an upholsterer, and you know, I don't want to make them look rubbish. So there's the entire top deck seat cushions have got to be done. I'll do them the same, but that's a job for another day. And just as I expected, that is dry. So we'll take her around to my state-of-the-art workshop and try this other idea I have of mixing some of the glass in with the coating and rolling it on that way. I've just moved these seat backs out of that water so they don't soak it up. Put them over here in the sun. Kind of looks like either some sort of puzzle on Survivor or a bit of mid-century modern wall art. Back in the state-of-the-art workshop, I went looking for something to use as a tray out of that sun, and ended up dumpster diving and found an old milk bottle, which I've just cut in half. So what I want to do with this one is try it, but I'll put the gloves on first, pre-mixing the coating and the glass beads. So I should have put these on before I started, shouldn't I, because this is riveting viewing. Sweaty hands as well, trying to get into gloves, and I can never find the thumb. Oh, you're kidding me, come on. What in the... Right, okay. So, I'll pour a bit of this in there. I don't know how much I'm going to need. Where's the lid release there? So, let's just get a little bit in there. It smells a little bit chocolatey. Wipe that excess off so it doesn't bung up the lid. And now I'll throw some, oh, these lids are hard to get off, there it is. I'll throw some of this glass in here, mix it in with it, and then roll it on. Probably too much. It'll do. Right. Let's have a go. This is dry. Mixy, mixy, mixy. Looks like it does. It looks like icing sugar and chocolate. It's like we're making brownies. Okay, let's give it a go. I'm going to need much more. Much more, much more. That is really drinking it in there. I didn't want to ruin one of my good paint trays, because I've got a funny feeling that once you get this into anything, you're never going to get it out of it. I think, yeah, it is. I don't know, but I am definitely going to need more. A lot more. Precise measurement there. And there. This is a little bit damaged on this corner, but again, this is the lid to the battery box, which lives under a seat and you never see it, which is why it's a good test area, I guess. Not that I'm saying battery box lids aren't important, they are. Battery box lid lives matter. Very keen to see how that turns out. So that's how it's come up. I'll just pop this in I'll leave this here in the sun for a little while. I think it might work. Anyway, we'll give it half an hour. We'll go and do something else. I've put that lid back in. At the very last minute, when it was still just a little bit tacky, I threw some of those glass beads on it and then swept them off. And I think that's probably the best. See, that's the one I did yesterday, and I attacked it too soon and it's gone all matte and dull, whereas that's got the shine on it. And I think that's how the floor is supposed to look. So when you compare it to that, and then that, and even the bit up here that I did last night just to try it out, there's that, and then there's that. So that's how we're going to do the floor. We'll just have to go easy on the glass beads, but I think it should look good. And I might even start on this section here now and see if I can't get a coat on it today. It's a bit later in the afternoon now because this took a bit longer than I was expecting it to. This is the floor in the front entrance of the bus. I've only gone to that seam, but that's the floor after a very good wire wheel and a clean with some sugar soap wipes. I think it's come up good enough to paint. It's almost good enough to keep as it is, but you can see it's worn here from all the years of people stepping in and out, so there's no bitumen left on that. That's just bare plywood. So I'll have to build up some layers, and I want to do that now and try and get it dry enough so that, well, I've got to move the bus back, and I can't do that if I'm walking on sticky bitumen. So let's get stuck into this. Now, I don't know how this is going to go, as much as you don't know how this is going to go. So we're in this together. Gloved fingers crossed. Still got the old roller on from earlier. It's a little bit hard, and I'm not putting any glass beads in just yet. I want to try and build up a couple of coats of this before I go worrying about that. And I think I'm going to stop right there and change that for a new roller. Take two. It's actually looking a lot better already, to be really honest with you. I should be concentrating here. I need to build up some level here, get a few millimeters coating on this plywood. Just slather it on. Like I said, I've got to move the bus backwards in a couple of hours, so I could be hindering myself if I make this floor sticky that I can't walk on it. You probably can't hear me because I haven't got my mic on. I did another couple of little jobs in the driver's cab this afternoon while I was waiting for things to dry and whatnot, and I'll show you those at the end of this video, which hopefully will be as soon as I get this floor done. This will also be good for the floor until I can fix that leak up the top there somewhere, because this obviously is a sealer, so it's a waterproofing. So it should stop any more damage happening to the subfloor due to all the water ingressing. Is that the right word? Did I just use a fancy word? It's already starting to dry black, which is good, and it's going off pretty fast, so maybe I might get another coat on, because I still have about 2 hours of daylight left. Fingers crossed. Blood fingers crossed. Oh, and it's that time. Now while that's drying, I want to show you something that could be causing the water coming in. What are you looking down there for? Oi, up here! So when I pressure washed this, I washed off a lot of bog. This is an area that used to catch a lot of trees, shop awnings, things like that, always damaged. It's a difficult piece to replicate because of the compound curves. There's a curve that way and a curve that way. So obviously they've bogged it up, and I'll have to do the same. There's no way you can get those dints out. But up here, and just as I suspected, this could be where all that water's coming in. Let's climb up one more rung without killing myself. There is actually a hole there. Something's copped a whack and they haven't fixed it. Maybe we did that coming down from Lightning Ridge. I don't think so, but that's clearly a fiberglass repair that I need to do again. And that is probably where water's coming in. It's running down there, pooling above the door and finding its way to the floor. I'm happy that I found that, and that's not going to be hard to fix. In another video though. Just for now though, I'm going to use everyone's favourite. I don't know if I can do this one-handed, trying to hold this phone. I'm just going to put a little bit of duct tape on it because we do have showers forecast for this week. I'm not going to get back here until the weekend. So, if this stops some of that water coming in, and I'll know immediately if it is because there was a lot when we had that heavy rain the other day. If this stops it, I'll know that's the problem. I mean, there's even rivet holes there. They're easy to fix and put a new rivet in. Bloody water. In a situation reminiscent of doing a house reno, when you peel away a little bit of floorboard or a little bit of wall and you discover the disaster behind it, while I was up here patching that, I've just found that hole, which probably isn't helping. So it's going to get fixed. When I took that rear seat off to pressure wash it, this is what I found underneath it. I almost want to bring the pressure washer in here and do it, but there's so much dust that it just turned into a mud pit. Also, I have a brand new Atlantean badge that goes on the rear. I'll show you. That's the one that's on the bus. That's the one that's going on the bus. And they have a screw or a bolt behind them, a nut that goes on there. And to get to it, it looks like I have to take these top panels off. And look at all those lovely rivets. That's drying nicely. I'm so tempted to throw some glass beads on it, but I won't, because I want to, once it tacks off a little, I want to give it another coat. And then I might throw some glass beads on it. I've just put the second coat on, and this time I mixed some glass beads into the coating in the bucket before I put it on. I'm just trying to build up that area there, but that's looking good. And if you look closely, you can see the little bits of grit, which will provide some nice grip. we'll give that half an hour. That should be good enough to walk on. And then I'll show you what I've done with the rest of the driver's cab. You can probably hear she's running. I'm warming her up. I've got to reverse her back into a parking space in a minute. I want to show you what I've done with this main area and the driver's cab, so it's maybe better to come in through the front door. So we'll do that. I'm going to clean up all that stainless there. I was going to do that today with a bit of steel wool, but I just ran out of time. There is the handrail with that really nice kind of grippy feel about it with the plastic dip. I've still got one screw I've got to put in down there. I'm struggling to get it through something. I think I might be trying to screw into a broken bolt or something. I still have to do some of the cleaning up here and in the ceiling, but have a look at that cab. I was going to paint down there, and at the very last minute as I was cleaning it up, I thought, no, I'm not going to. It's original, I'm going to keep it. I throw a piece of rubber, it's just a little bit of heater hose, onto that footrest there. You can see where the driver has worn through the paint. That panel covers over the heater blower and matrix and stuff. So you can see there, I don't want to paint over that, that's history. I put a fire extinguisher in. I want to tidy up that gear pedestal. I've got a new piece there to go in. Eggins have got some sort of weird setup where the bus can't be started in gear accidentally, but originally the gear pedestal has that lockout feature anyway. And then I couldn't help myself, I painted along the top here. Alright, so in we go. All new globes in the dash. Look at that, eh? Brand new. Bit of a tidy up. Again, I still have to finish cleaning off, but you can see there it's going to work well. I've done that one. Oh, fire engine. So, what do you think? The floor? I'm able to walk on it now. It shows a little bit of that glass beading and is very, very grippy. And there it is. Just beautiful. And now I can get in there and move the bus around and even go and drive it and not get a mouthful of cobwebs and dust. Very happy with that. It's getting dark, and I reckon that's the video. We're done. We've got a lot done. The flooring system, I'm happy with the way that worked out. Got to keep going with that. That'll probably be the next video. I'll keep going up on the lower level and get maybe some seat backs in and clean up around that back, that really messy back seat area. Really happy with the way this driver's cab turned out. I did put a little bit of paint, I said I wouldn't, but just along the partition here in the driver's door. Fire extinguisher in. Love the way that handrail turned out with the plasti dip. This is just a really nice place to be now, and you know, I can gladly take it for a drive and not get a mush full of dust and cobwebs. There's still a bit to do. Still got to clean up the paint, get a little bit of that green mold off, but I can do that over time. I've got to go back to work tomorrow and probably won't be back down here until next weekend. We'll get stuck in then. So thanks for sticking around to the very end. Thanks for watching this episode of Atlantean 1101 Restoration. There's another one coming soon. Until then, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't. And probably shouldn't be doing this in the driver's cab, but I'm not going anywhere. The engine's off. So cheers.